For Comedy Hype News, I'm Dom Smith. When it comes to stand-up, many comedians adopt a gimmick or persona that'll make them stand out to the audience. Larry the Cable Guy is the redneck, Gabriel Iglesias is the lovable fat guy, Eddie Murphy is the comedic rock star with his leather outfits, and they all contribute to their onstage personas in one way or another. The same goes for Katt Williams and Pimps. The first time the mainstream saw Katt Williams was in 2002's Friday After Next. He played Money Mike, a low-level pimp. A few years after Money Mike, Katt returned to the pimp persona by lending his voice to the Boondocks as a pimp named Slickback. Then, a few years later, Katt debuted a new pimp character, Lord Have Mercy and Norbit. Not only that, but 3 of Katt's stand-up specials have the word pimp in the title. There's 2006's The Pimp Chronicles Part 1, 2008's Pimpin' Pimpin', and 2009's Pimpadelic. Katt Williams definitely adopted the pimp lifestyle on stage and made it his own.
I'm a pimp right here. I ain't a pimp as far as putting hoes on the street. I'm a pimp right here. I think pimp, therefore I am. So,
in a 2008 interview with The Chronicle, Katt explained his fascination with the pimp lifestyle. The pimp was the guy who was always looking good and stepping out of nice cars, and he didn't have a 9-to-5, and was still somehow making things look wonderful. Pimps can shine and make things happen regardless of what the circumstances are. A pimp has to know his women inside and out, but he can't let his women know him. A pimp studies his women until he knows them better than they know themselves. Katt proved this in The Pimp Chronicles Part 1.
Cause I love bitches, that's my shit. If you go to my house, it's Alizé at my house. I don't drink no motherfucking Alizé, but bitches do.
The book Pimp by Iceberg Slim consistently reiterates what a pimp is. A pimp is really a whore who has reversed the game on whores. Who has Katt reversed the game on? The industry, of course. You see, Katt plays by his own rules, not the Hollywood game. He doesn't rely on TV and movie roles to pay his bills, he relies on the audience. Chappelle spoke about feeling like Hollywood pimped him out when it came to Chappelle's show. He even used the same book by Iceberg Slim as an analogy. Usually, Hollywood is the pimp who selects these artists that they're going to push to the forefront. The record label or production company tells the artist, I think you can make me some money. Here's a budget. A pimp thinks the same thing about his hoes. I think you can make me some money. A record label or production company will have an array of different artists, just like pimps have many different hoes. Hollywood makes its money off the name, likeness, and talent that these other artists possess, giving the remaining scraps to the creator. It's the same reason why Chappelle's show made Comedy Central and Viacom $500 million, but they only offered Dave $50 million.
But is that right?
Katt's fascination with pimps and the pimp game is obvious to any fan of his. The pimp lifestyle seems very gruesome from the outside looking in, but Katt has somehow been able to apply those tactics to how he moves in his career, his stand-up, and the movie roles he chooses. Like I said before, the first time we see Katt in a movie, he plays Money Mike in Friday After Next. Money Mike is a pimp who owns a store called Pimps and Hoes in the same shopping plaza where Craig and Day Day are security. In his first scene, Mike pulls up to the store in a fancy car and flashy clothes. His main hoe, Donna, waits on him hand and foot, but he continues to mistreat and yell at her.
Don't be sorry, ho, be careful. Lord, gee, well, you know what? I'm tired of your presence. Dismissed.
Now, Money Mike isn't the best pimp in the world, but he seems eager to get better, even going so far as to pick the brain of Bishop Magic Don Juan. After Craig and Day Day catch and detain 2 drug addicts from shoplifting Mike's store, Mike tries to get revenge and attempts to cut them before being stopped by the Jones cousins. Craig and Day Day invite Mike and Donna to their Christmas party, where Mike meets Damon, who basically says to him,
I like you, and I want you. Now we can do this the easy way, or we can do it the hard way. The choice is yours.
Mike dodges Damon's advances by pinching Damon's testicles with pliers. Mike tries to make his escape, but Donna ends up driving off with Mike chasing her and Damon chasing him. So what makes Money Mike a bad pimp? Pimps are supposed to command respect from their women and their peers, but he gets no respect. Not from Craig, not from Donna, or the people that tried to rob his store. Interestingly enough, when Mike's store is getting robbed, he calls for Donna for help. The same thing happens when Damon begins to attack Mike. He shouts Donna's name so she can save him. Pimps are supposed to protect their women, and the fact that Money Mike can't protect his store or his own well-being contributes to his inability to command respect. Money Mike should be able to handle himself physically in order to protect Donna, but the fact that he can't makes Donna and everyone else look down on him. Everything Money Mike has is for show. The car, the money, the clothes, and the hoe. Another reason why Money Mike is a bad pimp is because by the end of the movie, the tables have turned and he becomes Damon's hoe. Where Money Mike fails as a pimp named Slickback thrives. A first season episode of The Boondocks is called Guest Hoes Coming to Dinner, where Granddad's new girlfriend, Cristal,
like the champagne,
is a prostitute. She hides every time she sees a man in a purple suit, she can run fast in high heels, and she keeps asking Granddad if he's a cop. It's obvious to everyone except Granddad himself. Huey and Riley contact Cristal's pimp to get her the hell out of the house after she makes herself too comfortable. Enter Slickback.
No, it's a pimp named Slickback, like a Tribe Called Quest. You say the whole thing.
A pimp named Slickback is a way better pimp than Money Mike. By the end of his first appearance, a pimp named Slickback finds himself driving off with Cristal running after him. Compare that to Friday After Next, where Mike was the hoe chasing Donna, who was driving off. A pimp named Slickback upstages Money Mike as the more skilled pimp. While Money Mike seemed to be all about appearance, a pimp named Slickback does seem to have more knowledge about women. In Tom, Sarah, and Usher, a pimp named Slickback tries to help Tom get his wife back. Helping out Tom is his way of giving back to the community. In this episode, he actually teaches Tom and the audience a few things about the pimp game. For example, he diagnoses Tom with chronic bitch dependency. Throughout his talk with Tom, he lays down some facts that he's picked up over his years as a pimp. He urges Tom to refer to his wife as a bitch instead of calling her by her name. In the story of Gangstalicious Part 2, Granddad fears that Riley might be gay, so he gets a pimp named Slickback to talk to him. Riley tells him about homies over hoes, and he responds by saying there's a lot of things he can put over a hoe, but homies ain't one of those things.
A pimp named Slickback don't do shit for the homies. Let me reiterate, don't do shit for the homies. Sound like some gay shit to me.
Ice-T explained the pimp game, to which he refers to as pimpology. When an entertainer brings in a lot of money to record labels and production companies, it's easy for them to think that the record label or production company loves them. Ice-T says, they don't love you. They love the money you bring in. Hollywood doesn't love these artists, they love the revenue they generate. And a pimp never treats his hoe better than the money they bring in. Ice-T went on to say, the only chance an artist has in this pimp hoe game of the record business is realizing that this pimp record label does not love you, that you are a hoe. Work like a real good hoe, get the money, take the percentage, and put yourself in a position where you can pimp yourself one day. In this world, you either work or work for somebody. If you're not a boss, it means you're getting pimped. Hollywood wants you to work for them, making the entertainer the hoe. Katt Williams truly works for himself and has mastered the pimp game. Coming into the industry, Katt had a few early looks, but once he realized what Hollywood was really about, he said F the game and decided to play by his own rules. Iceberg Slim says, a pimp is really a whore who has reversed the game on whores. And a whore ain't nothing but a trick to a pimp. Stay up to date with the latest news and comedy by subscribing here to our YouTube channel and follow Comedy Hype across all social media. For Comedy Hype News, I'm Iceberg Smith.
You work for me now, hoe. Sure? Let me taste the goods. Put it on me. Greasy.
I want to be a hoe. How do I apply?